The 10 biggest payouts in UFC history, ranked from lowest to highest. Good day everyone. Story by Rasmus Christensen. Music by Upbeat. I am Greg from the East Rand in Johannesburg, South Africa. This is East Rand Sports News. UFC has grown into a global phenomenon, attracting millions of fans and generating record-breaking revenue. Some of the sport's biggest stars have cashed in on this success, securing massive paydays for stepping into the octagon. Unlike boxing, where top fighters often negotiate enormous purses, UFC fighters typically earn less, but the biggest names have still managed to command staggering sums. We've taken a look at the highest single-fight payouts in UFC history and ranked them from lowest to highest. At number 10. Anderson Silva vs Chris Weidman 2, UFC 168. Anderson cashed out a cool 80 million rands. Anderson Silva was well compensated for his attempt to reclaim the UFC middleweight championship in a rematch against Chris Weidman at UFC 168. However, the bout ended in disaster for Silva when he suffered a horrific leg break in the second round, effectively ending his dominance in the. Who's at number 9? Conor McGregor earned a staggering 82 million rands. Conor McGregor vs Jose Aldo at UFC 194. McGregor's name appears multiple times in this video, and his fight against Jose Aldo at UFC 194 was one of the most iconic moments in MMA history. With a single punch, McGregor knocked out Aldo in just 13 seconds, becoming the undisputed featherweight champion while securing a massive payday. Jenny has our number 8.
Thank you, Greg. Number 8 is our beautiful Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey vs Holly Holm at UFC 193 earned the superstar a recording 83 million rands. Rousey was the biggest star in women's MMA when she faced Holly Holm at UFC 193. Expected to continue her reign as bantamweight champion, Rousey instead suffered a shocking head kick knockout, but her financial reward for the fight remained one of the largest in UFC history. Number 7 sees Ronda Rousey earn a cool 89 million rands. At UFC 207, Ronda Rousey went up against Amanda Nunes. A year after her loss to Holm, Rousey returned to face Amanda Nunes at UFC 207. Despite being paid an even larger sum than before, her comeback was short-lived as Nunes dismantled her in just 48 seconds. This was Rousey's final UFC appearance before moving on to professional wrestling. Number 6 sees Conor McGregor again with 100 million rands. Conor McGregor vs Nate Diaz at UFC 196. McGregor's trilogy fight with Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 was supposed to settle the rivalry,
and subscribe,
but it ended
please.
in heartbreak. In the final seconds of the first round, McGregor suffered a broken tibia, forcing a doctor stoppage. Despite the injury, he still walked away with another multi-million-dollar payday. Back over to Greg for number 5. Greg.
Yes, we go to number 5 now, Jenny, and in number 5 we see Conor McGregor again. This time he earns a staggering 103 million rands. Originally set to fight Rafael dos Anjos, McGregor instead faced Nate Diaz on short notice in a welterweight bout at UFC 196. Diaz shocked the world by submitting McGregor in the second round, but the Irishman still secured one of the biggest purses in UFC history. Conor McGregor gets a double boost at UFC with another 102 million rand pay-per-view earnings and sees the Irishman claim number 4 spot as well. Determined to avenge his loss, McGregor faced Diaz again at UFC 202 in one of the most thrilling fights in UFC history. The Irishman won by majority decision, and the event became one of the highest-selling pay-per-views, further boosting his earnings. Number 3. The Bones Jon Jones. At UFC 309, Jon Jones faced Stipe Miocic, earning him 115 million rands. Jon Jones returned to defend his heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, earning the biggest payday of his career. In a dominant performance, Jones finished Miocic with a brutal spinning back kick to the body, cementing his legacy while cashing in a record-breaking check. Back to Jenny for our number 2 and top spot. Jenny.
Thanks, Greg. Straight to number 2. Yes, it's Conor McGregor again, this time 124 million rands. McGregor made history at UFC 205 by defeating Eddie Alvarez to become the first fighter to hold 2 UFC belts simultaneously. Fighting at Madison Square Garden for the first time in UFC history, McGregor put on a masterclass and walked away with one of the highest payouts ever. This brings us to our top spot, number 1. Brock Lesnar. At UFC 200, Brock faced Mark Hunt and earned him 146 million rands. Brock Lesnar tops the list with the biggest single fight payout in UFC history. Returning to the octagon for UFC 200, Lesnar defeated Mark Hunt via decision, though the result was later overturned to a no contest due to a failed drug test. Despite this, Lesnar still walked away with a staggering 146 million rands. I hope you enjoyed this video. Would you like to be a UFC superstar? Let us know and please subscribe, like, and share. See you soon.